Hello everybody, today we're going to be working on something really exciting and new that's being added to the course. I get asked all the time how to do well on the IELTS listening exam, and that's really related to your ability to understand paraphrasing and also recognize synonyms. And so today we're going to have a quiz, and it's going to specifically help you work on recognizing, paraphrasing, and hearing synonyms. So let's go ahead and get started. It is very important that you're able to really enhance your skills dealing with paraphrasing and synonyms. When it comes to multiple choice questions on the IELTS listening, you have to really be able to manage paraphrasing and synonyms. All versions of the multiple choice questions are designed by design to test paraphrasing and synonyms. This is the most important skill on the IELTS listening, along with your ability to simultaneously listen and answer questions at the same time. Now, when it comes to fill the blank questions, these are more dependent on recognizing synonyms than paraphrasing. Synonyms is more dealing with one word or two words that mean this, they have the same meaning, and paraphrasing is more where you have several words that have the same meaning. Now, with fill the blank questions, they're going to use synonyms that are for words that are before and after the blank line. So if you can hear that synonym, then you're going to hear the answer choice connected to it. For the multiple choice questions, you're going to hear them say the question keywords, and then they're going to say the answer. Your job is to pick which one of the answer choices actually is a paraphrase for what they said. So this is really, really important. For the overall exam, it's all about synonyms and paraphrasing. For the reading section, you have to be able to skim and scan for synonyms, and then you have to be able to read and choose answer choices that are paraphrasing of what they have in the passage. For the speaking section and the writing section, you have to be able to use synonyms and paraphrasing. The better you use them, the higher score that you're going to have. So in terms of the quiz instructions, you're going to need paper and pencil, because you're going to have to write down the synonym or paraphrase that you hear. Now, I want you to create a two-sided table on your piece of paper. And on the left side, you can put the question keywords, and on the right side, you're going to write down the paraphrase or synonym that you hear of those question keywords. Now, for the most part, the questions and answers are going in order. So for question number 1, you're going to hear the paraphrase for question number 1 first. Maybe a couple of times they may be mixed up in order, so just be aware of that. But for the most part, I have them going in order. Now, you only want to listen once, but it is okay to stop and start the lecture, because you have to have time to write down the paraphrase that they say or write down the synonym word that they say. And so it's perfectly fine if you need to stop and write that word down. Now, you know on the real exam you cannot do that. You cannot stop and start. But we're working on a specific skill here, right? We're not doing a part of the exam. We're working on the skill of paraphrasing. And so if that's necessary, it's okay for you to do that. Now, before we get started, I want to explain to you how I created these questions, because I want you to have the ability to do it yourself. So, for example, on the left side, you see 4 questions. And these are fill-the-blank questions. And for 27, you see that the words before the blank line are demanded a great deal. For number 28, improved. For 29, the course was structured. And for 30, meeting other students. So I know that when they're having a conversation or when they're having a short talk, you're going to hear a synonym for demanded a great deal. The answer choice will be directly connected to that language. So if you hear the synonym or hear the paraphrase, you hear the answer. It's very, very easy if you can do that. So when you're creating tables on your own, it looks like this. On the left side, you put the keywords: demanded a great deal, improved, the course was structured, and enjoyed meeting other students. And then on the right side, you will put the answers for the paraphrasing or the synonym. So when you hear the paraphrasing of demanded a great deal, you write it on the right-hand side of the paper that you have in front of you. Now, like I said, you don't have to write down the question keywords on your paper because you can see them right here. But if you want to, that's perfectly fine. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to question number 1, or quiz number 1. The purpose of this quiz is to test your ability to recognize synonym language. We are not answering any questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question words. That's what we're doing. So for this one, you want to listen for and write down the paraphrase of demanded a great deal, improved, the course was structured, and enjoyed meeting other students. I'm going to go ahead and start the audio now.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, did you find it hard studying with the Open University?
You mean because you're studying on your own most of the time? Well, it took me a while to get used to it. I found I needed to maintain a high level of motivation because it's so different from school. There's no one saying, "Why haven't you written your assignment yet?" and that sort of thing.
Oh, dear.
You'll learn it, Paul. Another thing was that I got very good at time management because I had to fit time for studying round a full-time job.
Well, I'm hoping to change to working part-time, so that'll help.
What makes it easier is that the degree is made up of modules, so you can take time off between them if you need to. It isn't like a traditional 3 or 4 year course where you've got to do the whole thing of it in one go.
Oh, that's good, because I'd like to spend 6 months traveling next year.
It's all right for some. Then, even though you're mostly studying at home, remember you've got tutors to help you, and from time to time there are summer schools. They usually last a week. They're great because you meet all the other people struggling with the same things as you. I've made some really good friends that way.
Sounds good. So how do I apply?
All right, let's look at the answer choices. So for number 1, maintain a high level. Number 2, for improved, got very good at. For number 3, the course was structured, and you put degree made up of. Now, also for number 3, you could have put, the woman said, with the course, you've got to do it all in one go. And so saying you've got to do it all in one go is also another way of saying how the course was structured. And then for number 4, the question keywords were enjoy meeting other students, and then the audio similar words were made good friends. So all the answer choices are connected to those similar words. If you can hear the similar words, you hear the answer choices connected right there. That's the skill we're working on, everybody. That's what's required of you to be able to do. Let's move on to quiz number 2. The purpose of the quiz is to test your ability to recognize synonym language. Keep in mind, our focus is on paraphrasing and synonyms, not answering questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question keywords. Now on this one, we're working on recognizing will not do, will do, or might do, because for some of the questions, some of the multiple choice questions, you have to do something like this. You'll see in the box the words will not do, might do, and will do. And then when they're having the conversation, they'll mention different things like media studies, and the person says, I will not do it. Now, they're not going to say, I will not do it. They're going to say words that have the same meaning as will not do. So we already know the answer. When they talk about media studies, the person's going to say they will not do it, but they're going to say a paraphrase or synonym of will not do. Your job is to write down that paraphrase or synonym for will not do. When they mention women in power, They're going to say they will do it. Your job is to write down the synonym or paraphrase for will do. Culture and society, he said he might do it. He might do it. Write down the language that means the same as might do. Okay, you got it? All right, let's go ahead and get started.
You will hear a communication studies student talking to his tutor about optional courses for the next semester.
Come in. Oh, hello, Jack. Have a seat. Right. You said you wanted to see me to talk about your options next semester?
That's right. We have to decide by the end of next week. Really, I'd like to do all 5 options, but we have to choose 2, don't we?
Yes, but the choice depends on your major, to some extent. You're majoring in communication studies, aren't you?
That's right.
So, for example, the media studies option will cover quite a lot of the same area you did in the core module on mass communications this semester, the development of the media through the last 2 centuries in relation to political and social issues.
Well, that was interesting, but I've decided I'd rather do something completely new. There's a women's studies option, isn't there?
Yes, Women and Power. Again, it has a historical focus. It aims to contextualize women's studies by looking at the legal and social situation in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
So it would be useful if I intended to specialize in women's studies, but I'm not sure I do actually.
Well, it might still be useful to give you an idea of the issues involved. It's taught by Dr. Steed.
Oh, really? I'll sign up for that then. What about the option on culture and society?
That addresses the historical debate on the place of culture since the Industrial Revolution in Britain.
So, a historical focus again?
Do I get the message you're not so keen on history?
Well, it's just that we seem to have done quite a lot this semester. Anyway, I'll think about that one.
If you're interested in a course focusing on current issues, there's the option on identity and popular culture. That approaches the subject through things like contemporary film, adverts, soap operas, and so on.
That sounds interesting. Can you tell me who runs it?
Well, it's normally Dr. Stevens, but he's on sabbatical next semester, so I'm not sure who will be running it. It should be decided by next week, though.
Right. Well, I might wait until then to decide. And the last option is Introduction to Cultural Theory, isn't it? I'm quite interested in that too. I was talking to one of the second-year students, and she said it was really useful. It made a lot of things fall into place.
Yes, but in fact, in your major, you'll have covered a lot of that already in Communications 102, so that might be less useful than some of the others.
Oh, I'll forget about that one then.
Now, while you're here, we could also discuss how you're getting on with your core module assignment.
All right, let's go ahead and go over the answer choices. So for will not do, he said, I've decided I would rather do something completely new. For will do, he said, I'll sign up for that. For might do, you should have written down, I'll think about that one. For maybe will do, that's the easiest one. He said, I might wait to decide. And for will not do, you should have written down, I'll forget about that one. So that's the paraphrasing and that you should have written down for those question keywords. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward to quiz number 3. All right, quiz 3. The purpose is to test your ability to recognize synonym language and paraphrasing. We're not working on answering any questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question keywords. Now, as I've said, it's okay to stop the lecture, press the space bar on your computer if you want to, and write down the synonym or paraphrase that you hear. All right, let's get started. So for number 1, the question keywords is in a rural area. For number 2, only opened recently. For number 3, offers facilities for business functions. For number 4, arranging to construct. And for number 5, you're listening for a synonym or paraphrase of incomplete. All right, so let's go ahead and start the audio.
You will hear a man talking to an official at a tourist information office.
Can I help you?
Yes, I was wanting somewhere to stay for a few days, a 4 or 5-star hotel. Can you tell me something about the possibilities?
Okay, right. Well, there are 5 hotels that might interest you. Were you wanting a city centre location, or would you be interested in something a bit further out?
Well, I do have a car, so I could go for either.
Well, there are 2 central hotels in the range you're looking for. There's Carlton House and the Imperial. They're both near the main square, but if you've got your own transport, you might be interested in the Royal Oak. That's out in the country, about 10 kilometres away. Very peaceful. Then there's the Bridge Hotel and the Majestic. They're both in town, but not in the centre. They're out on the airport road.
That might be a bit far out, actually. Okay, now the other 2 you mentioned in the city centre. Can you tell me a bit about them?
Well, they're both excellent hotels. If you want something with a bit of character, Carlton House is quite unusual. It's a very old building that was originally a large private house. It was bought by the Vannies chain, and they completely refurbished it. They took their first guests just a few months ago, but it's already got an excellent reputation. That's a 5-star hotel. Or there's the Imperial, which is a much more modern building. That also has its own gym, and it also has internet connection and meeting rooms. It's used for conferences and corporate events as well as private guests. That's 5-star as well.
Does it have a swimming pool as well as a gym?
No, the Royal Oak has an outdoor pool, which is lovely in the summer, but the only hotel with an indoor pool is the Bridge Hotel. It doesn't have a gym, though. The Majestic is planning to build a swimming pool and a fitness centre, but it's not finished yet.
I see. Well, I think I'll probably go for one of the city centre hotels.
Okay, let's go ahead and go over the answer choices now. So, is in a rural area. The audio similar words are out in the country. Only opened recently. The audio similar words were they took in their first guest just a few months ago. Number 3, offers facilities for business and functions. You could have written down a couple of things, but internet connection, meeting rooms, conferences, corporate, all of that relates to facilities for business functions. For number 4, arranging to construct, that relates to planning to build. And number 5, incomplete, the audio similar words were not finished yet. So what I'm trying to do here, everybody, is start getting you to train your ear to hear paraphrasing and synonyms. Right? If you heard these synonyms, then you actually heard all the answer choices for this one. Because the answer for number 1, the correct answer choice of A, B, and C is the answer choice that says out in the country. Right? So it's important for you to be able to do this, to recognize paraphrasing and synonyms. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break, and then I want you to go ahead and move to quiz B, which is the second part, and we're going to have more of these paraphrasing and synonyms quiz to really help you understand that. We hope that this exercise has been really, really helpful for you. As I said, we're working on paraphrasing and synonyms, and we're going to move into IELTS listening, working on multiple choice questions, part 2. And again, we're working on the same thing now, quizzes. We're working on quizzes for paraphrasing and synonyms, not answering questions. And actually, it's going to cover more than just multiple choice questions. It's going to cover also the fill-the-blank questions for paraphrasing and synonyms. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for part number 2.